I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw, he came to my ears and whispered, "Please be easy on me." He thought I'm Mike Tyson and I will follow his script 40 seconds after I broke the clown's jaw. We are boxers, not content creators. I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start, but as we saw, I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future, but all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
It's like this is the clearest fixed fight you're ever gonna see. Look at this guy holding his hands up and watch. Watch this. He literally shows him his chin and he goes down. It's so fake. Look at, he's got nothing. It's like a guy who just learned boxing.
The day after I woke up and told my wife, "Why did I do that?" I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on. I remember one thing. I had a very hard moment in that part of my life. But I assure you, in that age, I could have put that clown in the first round, but I sold my soul. And I'm
a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. And then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists.
Listen, this whole heavyweight mess has everyone making noise to cover up the questions nobody wants to answer.
That guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
I don't even remember what happened in the Tommy Fury.
He lost a close decision, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight.
All right, time for some brutal honesty that's gonna sting. Jake Paul never actually built a real boxing career. What he created was a bubble where everything stayed under his control, and bubbles work perfectly until someone pops them. Joshua doing his job as a fighter wasn't some heroic act. It was just business as usual. But usual became terrifying because the whole setup depended on unusual outcomes. The moment Joshua fought him like he would anyone else, the fantasy shattered, and that breakdown reveals what we were really watching all along.
Oh no, I don't remember the fight that much. I kind of blanked out a little. Listen, know what I remember? Coming back from the first round, and then the next day I remember Jake is doing some kind of, I don't know, what was he doing at the ring?
Oh, yeah, a little bow at the end, he bowed.
And that's the last thing I remember. You know, but the day after the fight, the day after I woke up and told my wife, "Why did I do that?" I don't know. I just don't know what the hell goes on.
What did you think of Jake's power, man, when you were in there?
I don't remember it, but my body was really sore. Yeah, my body, my chest, my stomach and stuff was really sore.
Everyone keeps throwing around words like courage. Sure, getting in there takes balls, but courage mixed with poor judgment just becomes a liability waiting to happen. And here's what makes me uncomfortable. Liability is something networks protect themselves from, not something they let fighters carry alone. So somebody signed off on this matchup knowing full well what could happen. When there's approval, there's accountability, and right now you can watch everyone scramble away from that accountability. Notice how they keep steering the conversation toward heart and guts instead of who made the call.
He's also nuts, right? Just the fact that he's willing to fight the two-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist, a guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god. And you're gonna stand, and he's a one-punch killer.
Joe Rogan caught what became obvious from Joshua's performance. Yeah, the injury is real and it matters, but what matters even more is what this sets up going forward, because now you've let a brand name test itself against legitimate violence, and everyone saw the results. Every single influencer fight from here on out exists in Joshua's shadow. That shadow stretches long and dark, and every promoter knows it. They just lost their get out of jail free card. They can't claim anymore that nobody knew how this would end. We all know now, the ceiling got found, and it's made of concrete, and somebody's face found it first.
You could only take so much. And at a certain, like that one that he got from Joshua, ooh, you know, say if you have like a punch card, you have like so many punch that you can get in your life, which I believe you do. I believe there's a certain number. That one was like 10 bunches.
Yeah.
That was like, there was a lot of concussions in that one punch.
Sure.
That was real damage. Like,
What gets under my skin is how obvious this outcome was. Not the knockout itself, but everything that followed. Boxing's full of cautionary tales about entertainment crossing lines it shouldn't cross. These stories follow the same pattern every time. Starts with jokes, moves to intrigue, then worry, then remorse. We're sitting right between worry and remorse is when the real information surfaces, when people start backing away and changing their stories. Nobody can sell me on the idea that the professionals involved were clueless. That's an insult to their intelligence. These people know about force and damage and calculated risk, so the bet was deliberate. Deliberate bets mean someone expected to pay a price, and I keep wondering who was supposed to take that hit because this clearly wasn't the plan. Not this clean, not this final. When expectations crash into reality like this, that's usually where the truth starts bleeding through. The Tyson situation still bugs me because you don't just casually mention memory problems. That's a warning signal. Warning signals don't go off by accident. Physical, mental, or something else entirely. It created unease that never got addressed, just covered up with promotion. Now Joshua's punch uncovered that buried concern. When you dig up old problems, people start asking who buried them originally.
In pain?
Yeah, but
Does
it's not from like talking.
Talk to me about what your jaw feels like, because you got
It's like a baseball in there.
two
then-
plates,
It just feels like
4 titanium plates.
4 titanium.
Also, fans don't realize how much this rattled other fighters because professionals watch footage differently. They're not seeing entertainment, they're analyzing timing and distance and intention. What they witnessed was someone figuring out too late that the game had different rules. That moment of realization is nightmare fuel because it means the protection everyone assumed was there turned out to be fake. Fake protection ends careers without warning. Rogan's whole energy shifted, and it wasn't about taking some moral stance, it was recognition. He's witnessed enough damage to spot when something moves from competition into danger territory. His retirement plea wasn't aimed at Jake Paul specifically, he was trying to prevent the next disaster headline. And if you think suits somewhere haven't already war-gamed that worst-case scenario, you're living in denial. Planning for catastrophe is literally their job. What's happening now is damage control in live action. Damage control always appears smooth on top, while chaos churns underneath. The longer it takes for straight answers to show up, the shadier it gets. Simple situations produce quick clarity. This situation feels anything but simple. It feels calculated and managed and filtered. Never a good look. Joshua's part in this fascinates me, not as good guy or bad guy, but as a catalyst. He didn't build the problem, he just revealed it ahead of schedule. Early revelation is dangerous because it strips away control. Control was the actual product being sold here. Control over competition, control over storylines, control over results. Joshua destroyed that control with one shot, and control doesn't get given up easily afterward. Some folks will dismiss this as typical boxing where injuries are part of the deal. That's intellectual laziness. Context is everything. This context drips with marketing promises of authenticity that was never actually earned. When hype outpaces reality, someone covers the gap. This time, that payment came in bone and steel. Now everyone's playing hot potato with the bill. I don't see Jake Paul as villainous, I see him as merchandise being pushed past its breaking point. When products fail, manufacturers blame consumers, consumers blame conditions, conditions blame random chance. Chance becomes the easy target, but chance doesn't book fights. People do. People make choices. Choices create consequences, whether anyone wants to claim them or not. There's a freeze coming that you can already feel. Fighters will hesitate. Athletic commissions will dig deeper. Insurance companies will squint harder. Suddenly, that easy money looks a lot less easy. When fast cash disappears, so does loyalty. That's when narratives start shifting. Mark this down. Some of those earlier compliments will quietly become distancing. Fight fans aren't idiots either. They might love spectacle, but they recognize the real thing. Joshua delivered reality in its purest form. Once audiences taste that authenticity again, selling them diluted versions becomes impossible. That spells trouble for anyone whose business model depends on blurred boundaries. The line just got redrawn in permanent marker.
I'm just hoping after the Floyd fight, maybe we can have a rematch. He did well, but I want to try it again.
Is that something that you would be interested in terms of righting the wrong?
I keep replaying the whole sequence, and each replay makes it worse. This wasn't just an athlete getting injured. This was a business strategy slamming into physics at maximum velocity. When that collision happens, people don't race to tell the truth. They race to protect their position. You can feel that protection mode happening right now in all the gaps. All the things not being discussed. If everything was clean, there wouldn't be hesitation or hedging or carefully crafted statement. Instead, we're getting loud distractions designed to drown out the quiet questions that refuse to disappear.